This is my truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me my truth. Tell me what the truth feels like. This is my truth. Yeah. Truth.
Okay, so hello everybody. This is.
Oh, that was really hot. Sorry.
This is Mark and he's burnt his mouth. you can nurse that while I just explain. And one of Mark's best friends is also a very good friend of mine, but we didn't really have that much contact until we worked together from 2013 to 2015. I'm not going to tell them what we were doing because that's a whole other story, but during those 2 years you got married.
Yes.
And do you want me to call Richard or Dickie? Because
Dickie, doesn't matter. Dickie.
yeah, because Richard's quite formal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what his students call him.
Okay, what, Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dickie. Did you guys always want to be parents? Was that something you discussed before you got married?
He had always wanted to be a parent. Because I remember we'd been going out about 3 months. And no, not even 3 months, 3 weeks, sorry. And he said to me, look, I want kids, so if you don't want kids, this isn't going to be a thing.
Okay,
yeah. I remember speaking on the South Bank and thinking, that's a bit full on. But you know,
yeah,
I'd
but
always...
it's an important, I guess, get it out of the way, because it's a deal breaker,
you do get to a certain age, sadly, that if you don't want the same things, then there's no point messing about.
Yeah.
I had always thought if I ended up with someone who didn't want kids, that would be fine.
Right.
And if I'd ended up with someone who did want kids, that would also be fine.
Yeah.
We like the same things, we have the same humour, we have the same values.
So, how long gosh, I don't know anything about adoption. I know that because I can't have children with the best intentions, people have said over the years, you should adopt. I'm guessing it's not as easy as picking up a catalogue and going,
well, it's like,
number
you know that thing when you're desperately trying to be an actor and then your like uncle watches EastEnders and it's like, you should be in EastEnders. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll bring them up.
That's so true.
You
should play lead parts.
Oh, alright then, I will.
Okay.
No, it's not. So we started in March 2015. What are we in now? 2018. Yeah, so March 2015.
Okay.
And you can either adopt through an adoption agency or a local authority, and so we sort of went to a few. They do like open days,
right,
really, to decide who we wanted to adopt through. We ended up adopting through a local authority, mainly because they get the children first. So all the local authorities have the children, and then children they find difficult to place, they then give to adoption agencies to place.
Okay.
But they don't physically give them to them, but the details.
Yeah.
Which means that you're more likely to get a younger, less troubled child from a local authority,
right?
Than from, which sounds really self-serving, but it is self-serving because we wanted a child as young as possible, and you have to know what emotional and physical needs you can deal with.
Yeah. Because it's not only about them and what they need, it's about what you know you can
offer.
Give.
You know,
and I think that's responsible to know what you can or can't.
Because you are asked
as much
during
as
the
process.
Can know. Yeah, you are asked during the process what you would be willing to accept.
Right.
And you have to be really honest about it. Like, for example, we live in a first floor flat. We couldn't have had a child in a wheelchair. It's we couldn't have managed it. So that was a no. So you tick the no box and you feel like a terrible person, but you tick the no box. But you know, there was, for example, would you have a child with HIV positive? And we were both like, yeah, of course. But we know for other people that would be like a absolute not deal breaker.
Yeah.
So you have your own boundaries.
Yeah.
You know what your boundaries are. You show interest, and then a social worker comes and visits you, and decides whether they think that you might be suitable or not. And if they think you are, you go into something called stage 1. So you do these training days. Some of it's about birth families, some of it just teaches you lots about what to expect and what the process is. And you have to do lots of things, like you have to do a health check, at the doctor's, and a financial check, and a DBS, like a you haven't abused a child check, police check, and
far more checks than someone who
yeah
can have children naturally. Would have to go through.
So you go through all that. I'm trying to make it not really long, but it's a long process. You know what I mean? And so once you get through that stage, you then and you also have to fill in a big workbook where you basically talk about everything that's happened to you in your life. So they ask you all these questions in this book, and you have to fill it in. It's like 70 pages.
Wowzers.
And we filled it, maybe because we're a bit extra, but we filled it in a really detailed way. But actually, I think I'm glad we did, because that really is your chance to say your piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then once you go into once you get through that stage and you go into what they call stage 2, a social worker comes round and basically you have about, I think we had 9, maybe 10 sessions once a week, once every 2 weeks. She'll come and interview you.
So what sort of time frame are we talking from the beginning of stage 1
March
to stage
to about September, I guess, was stage 1, and then we had these social worker visits, and she was really lovely, our social worker. And we were the first gay couple that she'd done.
Right.
And it's quite intrusive. I didn't get the sense that it's that they wanted you to be perfect, but I think they wanted you to have thought about every option.
Yeah.
And worked out
how you'll manage it. Yeah, because the perfect doesn't exist anyway, does it?
But I think in order to do that, they sort of poke at open wounds quite a lot.
Okay. Right.
And eventually, after all of that, the social worker prepares a report on you, and it goes to a panel. The social worker goes in and speaks to them, and then you go in and speak to them as a couple, and they decide whether you're approved as an adopter or not.
Right.
So we were approved, which was really lovely, and it was a really good day. And that, to that point, was about a year from when we first started.
Are you nervous on that day, when it's in somebody else's hands to say whether you're...
Yes, except I honestly felt, and this is really arrogant, but I honestly felt, after we'd been through everything and talked about it, and I thought, if they don't allow us to adopt, they have no right allowing anyone to adopt.
Right.
Because I thought we're ready.
That's not arrogant. I think you just...
I thought we're ready, and we're good people, and we've got a nice house, we've got a spare room, we're ready. We were very elegant. That's not what I meant. Eloquent. We were very elegant.
I went in my best gold lame. Yeah.
We were very eloquent, and so we were approved, which was really good. And you sort of, up to that stage, you're working really hard to get approved and doing all these tasks that they give you, and you feel quite motivated. And then you get to that point, and everything stops. So, because they are very protective of the children, because they always said all the way through, this isn't about finding you a child, this is about finding this child some parents.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think is and that's part of the training, it's a really important way to think about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And just when we had been approved, they were something like, well, there are no children at the moment because the government had changed some legislation that made the process slower, and blah, blah, blah. And then our social worker resigned.
Okay.
So this person that we'd spent 6 months telling our entire life to,
and building up a
report, because really your social worker has to fight for you.
Yeah.
Like they're the person.
So it's an important relationship.
So we had a new social worker. She said to us, "Well, what do you know about relinquished children?" When a person puts a child up for adoption rather than having been through the care system. And I was like, "Oh right, obviously it's very rare, but we've got a couple at the moment who are. She's pregnant and they want to put the child up for adoption." And they want a creative couple because they're a creative couple. They were shown our profile and liked it, and so we met them. They wanted to meet us in person, and we met them, which was an amazing experience because we got on very, very well, and I can imagine in another life being friends with them. And we had similar views on lots of things, education and life, and I think they felt calmed by us.
Right.
She said, I've really struggled with why this has happened to us. But meeting you, I now feel like I was supposed to, it's gonna make me cry. I was supposed to have a child for you.
Oh gosh.
Which, she was a 19-year-old who was incredibly stressed and about to give birth, and for her to have the, openness of heart to be able to think about us in that situation was amazing.
Wow.
And they said, yes, will you have our child when she's born? So from the moment that the social worker had said, do you know what a relinquished child is, to when Billy, our daughter, was actually born, was 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks.
So quick.
Yeah. So that was really stressful.
Yeah, you were saying to me earlier that there's the 9-month period of growing and carrying a child serves a purpose.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely, because I think
trying to get your head round all of that in 3 weeks.
We bought a load of books, but we didn't have time to read them before she was here.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to survive and keep our heads above water and not kill her.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that time to plan how we were going to cope, because we thought we were going to get a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So suddenly we've got this newborn. Remember us sitting here, it being, November, middle of winter, not that late, because she was born at midday and we'd taken her home by 6.
Wow.
But it being really dark and us being like, right, we need to, what do we need to do? We need to just learn how to sterilise a bottle and work out all things.
Well, and that whole nesting period that people do, that you can't really, I don't know, I imagine you can't really let yourself do it because you don't know whether it's actually literally going to happen.
I remember us just sitting here looking at her going, but I think everyone feels like this, like we don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. We don't know how to look after a baby. What made us think
do you have any are there prenatal classes for adoptive?
No, because as well, we had spent a lot of time, we'd spent a lot of time looking at the area and what there were for kids to do, but we were looking for what there was for a 3-year-old to do.
Yeah, of course.
So we didn't really, and I mean, one of the things that's great is you still get, the midwife still comes.
Okay.
And the health visitor still comes.
Okay,
So you still get all that, and then they start to tell you, but obviously they don't come on the first, they come like 2 days later or whatever. No, I think the midwife came the next day.
And she was essentially, did you say she was fostered for the first?
So we fostered her, what we did
You
is
don't automatically become adoptive parents.
So because the birth parents have a period of time where they can change their mind.
Right, okay.
After that point, the child gets something called a placement order where everything's been signed off and they're up for adoption. But even at that point, had the birth parents then suddenly be like, oh God, we've changed our minds, they would have had to go through court, but any sensible judge would think, oh, the child's 4 months old and the birth parents want their child, the child's better off in the birth family. Because they try and keep a child in the birth family. And I sort of agree. We were trying to keep this little baby alive and love her and invest in her, and at the same time protect ourselves in case she went back to them. Because I think realistically, had they tried to take her back, and they didn't, and it all went through really smoothly actually, but had they tried to take her back, it would have been horrendous.
Yeah. Because
you attach so quickly, because it's a newborn baby who's completely helpless. And anyway, after 6 months we adopted her. I always had a sense of, I think it's one of the reasons that I wasn't nervous during the process, is I do sort of think I've said it to you before, what's meant for you won't pass you by, and I just sort of believed that we would get the child we were supposed to get.
Yeah.
I look at her and I think that she was supposed to end up with us.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be ours.
One of the reasons why I really wanted to talk to you about all of this, aside from the fact that it's something I don't have any experience with, is because you've been really good with, I think is amazing, with sharing experiences that have happened to you since having Billy and being a dad, being a gay dad. Not that that should have to be mentioned, but for the purpose of this, the things that you encounter day to day, being out with a baby, and the way that people respond to you. Gosh, there are so many to think about.
It does. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to talk to you, because because I think that things like this will only become less, not strange, but some people, it's just beyond some people's comprehension, and the only way to break centuries worth of opinions on how things should be is to normalise it and to talk about it, and just to ask you about some of those experiences that you've had.
Yeah, well, I think I should. No, my experience is that no one has ever been malicious.
Right.
Which I think is
Yes.
really important to say.
Yeah.
So it isn't about.
Not about intentionally.
No, it's not about me walking. Two dads walking down the street and people being hostile towards us for being that. I've not had any experience of that at all. But there has been a lot of incidences where people have been really thoughtless, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, I'll just give some examples.
Is it too harsh to say a sort of underlying kind of just ignorance or naivety to the fact that?
And it comes from all over the place, and it comes from all ages of people. That's
Right.
the thing. Like, I'm always
So
really
interesting.
surprised when it comes from a younger person.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you should know better. I
Right.
genuinely think that. I think you should know. You're in London, and you're, between 20 and 35, 40.
Yeah.
You should know better.
Yeah. How
How
are
are
you not more broad-minded? Anyway, give us some examples, because I think it
So-
helps people maybe think about before they speak.
It's
or...
just there's just little things. For example, just I remember queuing in John Lewis Cafe to buy just a tea. I'm holding her. She's really, really crying. One of them is, is Daddy babysitting today? Which I think I've had a few times.
Yeah.
From various people.
You had that in the supermarket recently. didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even if, firstly, it could be the dad could be the stay-at-home dad and the mum could be off to work.
Yeah.
Secondly, even if the dad just has the child for the day, it's not babysitting.
Yeah.
It's parenting. They're
Yeah.
parenting their child, and I think that you shouldn't reduce the role of a dad. And
Absolutely.
I think it's done not necessarily intentionally, but it's done a lot.
Yeah, and joke or not, words have.
Yes, I think
Words have
I think
power.
they do. They do, and I think it. Firstly, makes people think it's true. Secondly, makes dads do this,
Yeah.
or makes dads think, maybe I'm not very good at that, so I won't.
Yeah.
Or I think that there are lots of damaging things that happen from
Mm.
it. There are two things that you get, and it is mostly when you're a stay-at-home dad, you spend most of your time with women, so it is from women.
Right.
You get surprise that you're doing it. This is an example. Some friends of ours, two gay dads, he was out with his little boy, his newly adopted little boy, and a mum went into his bag and took some food out and said he won't want to eat that. So there's the assumption that the dad doesn't really know
What he's doing.
that he can't.
That's awful.
Yeah. And then the other thing that you get when you do something that is really easy, that every mum is doing all the time, like changing an nappy,
Yeah.
you then get too much praise.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's this really weird world of like, you won't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, you've done it, you're the best dad ever, aren't you a fantastic dad for being at home and doing it? And you think, no, I'm neither of those things. Firstly, I'm completely capable, and secondly, I'm absolutely no different to you.
Yeah.
We're both doing this.
Yeah.
We're all brilliant.
We're both parenting.
We're both parenting.
Yeah.
We're all doing a brilliant job because
Yeah.
it's exhausting and tiring. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sort of a weird world of this. You're incapable or you're super dad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, you aren't either of those things. You're completely winging it like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Like you're just
Yeah.
trying not to kill the baby. That's all anyone's doing is trying not to kill the baby.
Oh gosh, that
So-
exhaustion thing. That reminds me of that story that you had about when you were yawning on the tube, and the lady said, "Now you
Yeah.
know how."
She said, "Now you know how we feel." And I think I've said we, or
Yeah.
like, who do you mean? And she was like, mums. And I sort of thought, there's so many assumptions in there.
Yeah.
Like, you think that I'm just doing this now, or that dads aren't tired to, like,
Yeah.
I don't, and you know, because the other thing the woman in John Lewis said on either the same occasion or a different occasion was, she was really crying, and she said, oh, someone wants their mum.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, actually, no, she doesn't want to have. I mean, I hope she doesn't. She doesn't really know who her mum is, and so I just don't. You know, I'm just not doing this very well at the moment, and you're drawing. You know, you're.
Yeah, it's. The thing is, what you said earlier about how you don't think people do it to intentionally be malicious.
Of course, I mean, she was making a little. She was having fun with me. She was making a joke.
Yeah.
She was trying to be kind.
But it's all. I think hearing stories like yours are all valuable, even if it just
And
makes
thing is,
people a little bit. It's not so much their intention and how they mean it, but how it can be perceived by the other person.
Because every time it happens, because I wish I was, because I'm quite a quick person, I think, in life. Like
Yeah.
and every single time it's happened to me, I've gone,
Yeah.
and I've just been unable to say anything. I don't know whether it comes from an inherent shame that you, as a gay person, you have from really early on.
Right.
You have this built-in, deep down shame that you spend the rest of your life, I guess, trying to get rid of.
Right.
So I still, even now, find it difficult to, and I'm a very open, sort of proud person, but I don't want to have to stand. I remember talking to a cleaner at the National, and her asking where her mum was, and I said, oh, she doesn't have a mum, and she went, oh, she's at home, and I said, no, she doesn't have a mum, and she was like, why not? And she was older, and it's probably, it's based on my prejudice as well, that I'm like, oh, an older person is just not going to like what this is.
Right.
And so there's shame in there, and I think I don't want to stand here and say to you, I'm gay, I'm married to a man, we adopted a child. I don't want to have this conversation with you. I don't want to have to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something, and really, I would love to be the person that, so I always get cross with myself. I'm in a
She just kept
situation
pushing the
here that
point,
I don't
actually.
want to be in. We were
Yeah.
just talking about my little girl crawling about, and suddenly I'm telling you that I'm a gay man who's adopted a baby. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't. Every time someone says to me, "Oh, you should just educate them," I'm like, I don't want to spend my life educating. Oh, it sounds really ridiculous. I'm a teacher. Don't spend my life educating people. But
no, but that's
I
a
just
really
don't want
that's a
to.
really good point, and it's good to hear, because I know that I've been one of those people
Yeah.
who said, with the best will in the world, who's commented on Facebook and said, if you did tell people every time you tell somebody someone's eyes might be open, blah, I mean, gosh, you must read that and just go.
Well, I think it's just because it feels like a private.
And it
part
is,
of
and
me.
you're right. You're absolutely right, and I will definitely. It's not that I'm never going to say that again in my life, but I'll think before I comment,
Yeah,
and that's the whole point of all of this.
Yeah.
Think, just have a little think before you say something to somebody, or I don't know.
Because the thing is, when people say you should educate them, I think that you're right. I don't think that you're wrong. I think I should. I think, yes, that's absolutely what I should do.
Oh, God, you really want to go out enough to do that every time?
Well, no, I don't. And that's why I don't
yeah,
do it.
Exactly.
So, and then sometimes there's been, like, I remember a very specific occasion, and she, it's one of those days where she was really kicking off. She'd just worked out that that when she's on the changing table, she can actually get up, and there was poo everywhere. She needed to be changed as well. It was just taking a long time, and it was just, she was really kicking off. Anyway, so I'm there in the midst of this,
Yeah.
of Poomageddon, and she is, and I get this. at the door, and I'm like, oh, where's someone knocking? Like, I'm not.
Clearly someone's in there for a reason.
Yeah.
Not reading a book.
And then, like, I can hear her, like, humping outside the door. And then, like, so eventually, Billy's still on the changing table, so I've got, like, one hand on her, and I open the door, and I'm like, yes, hello, can I? And she's like, well, I didn't realise you had a child. And I was like, well, you don't know anything about me in this toilet. I could be struggling, it's a disabled toilet, I could be struggling with my wheelchair.
Either way, you're in there for a reason.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter why I'm in here.
Right.
And then I could tell, the thing is, I could tell that the rest of it was because she was embarrassed that she'd knocked and I'd opened the door and I had a child. So the rest of it actually came from her feeling a bit flustered. And she had a 2-year-old who'd clearly, by the smell of it, had pooed himself. And although, I mean, there's so many Lou's in the National, she could have just found another. But anyway, she was clearly flustered and so she sort of went, because she went, oh, I didn't realise you had a child. And I think I obviously said something like, well, I do, you know. And so she sort of went, oh, but you were taking a very long time. And I said, well, you know, this is how long it takes. And she said, well, it doesn't usually take that long, perhaps you should let Mum do it next time. Which, again, in the midst of this, when you're sort of feeling like you're not very capable, because you're covered in poo and your child's kicking off and you know you're taking a long time, and maybe her mum, maybe her mum would do it better. Do you know what I mean? You know, maybe she would. And so again, I just go, and then I just close the door and tidy her up and leave.
Yeah.
And so it plays on your own insecurity. And the thing that I really hate is at the moment when these things are said, Billy doesn't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine. So it's about me and my insecurity and my vulnerability, and I really dread that time where these things that people say are understood and absorbed by her. I dread it.
I can completely get that, but also I'm guessing that you're going to arm her as well as you possibly can, you know.
And you know,
not that you're setting somebody up for the worst case scenario, but she's going to have an openness and a dialogue and a view that lots of children of her age won't have by that stage, you know.
Yeah, and I hope so, and I hope that, but that's all you can ever hope, isn't it? That you arm,
absolutely.
that you arm your child as best you can to deal with the things that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think that potentially you sometimes drop the ball and you don't always give them everything they need to deal with the things that they need to. Well, of course you don't, you can't.
Well, you do your bit, and then the rest, I guess, is their character as a little person or as they grow up.
Yeah, so I just guess that I hope that, and I think that people are changing, and I think people are becoming more aware. But I remember very specifically us being in Pret, just off Trafalgar Square, and an older lady. I could have imagined her being an art teacher or something. She sort of had lots of things. Dickie and I were there, and she was asking us about Billy and our situation. She was really interested and she just said, oh, I can tell that you're doing an amazing job. And and that's all you want, isn't it? That you just hope that you are. And you don't always know that you are, and I think sometimes you know, I know in my heart that I am not doing any worse a job than a mum. And I don't know if that's just me, or if that's just in a couple where there is no mum, or if all dads have a sense that, and that's why I think that you shouldn't reduce the role of a dad.
Yeah.
Because because they aren't less important, and they're only less important if you make them less important.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know loads of couples don't do that, but there is a sort of sense of it, my experience of it.
Like you say, I think we are. I mean, we're especially lucky to live in a city like London that's so diverse, and you know, I'm sure it's very different in other parts of the country, or definitely the world. But I feel like we are getting there, but it's baby steps, isn't it? It's kind of undoing.
And that's why I wish I was prouder. I wish I stood up more for
Right.
our lifestyle. I hate that word. Like I was telling you, we were watching that Barack Obama interview with David Letterman, and one of the things they were talking about was Selma. Have you seen the film?
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favourite films.
So
it's phenomenal.
And because they interviewed. He's now a congressman or a senator. I'm not sure what the difference is over there, but he was one of the people who walked across the bridge, and
Right.
you know, and they really, really fought in horrendous circumstances for something that they knew was right and they believed in. And so you sort of think, God, we live in this lovely London bubble, and I think, I know that if I was somewhere else in the country that is less tolerant, I can't even stand up for our lifestyle here. And I just know that if I was somewhere else, I just wouldn't be able to. I would do it even less than. And you just want to be. You want to believe that you're a stronger, better person than that. And I
know what you're saying. I think you might be doing yourself a disservice, because I think, you know, standing up and being proud. I think first of all you've got to start. The first step in doing that is to live authentically day by day. You're going out, you're not hiding your life. So that's important, and you do that, and you're quietly proud of that because you're not hiding it away. I think it's different when it comes to talk about choose your battles. I think it's different if there are little snippets of conversation here and there with strangers and you think, I should have said this or I should have said that, but you're gonna.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as well, when you have a child there, you sort of think, I don't want to do this. But then also I think, oh God, maybe she needs to grow up around someone who is saying, this is our situation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what she needs to see.
I'm sure that, maybe it won't, but I'm sure that these kind of things not only take time as far as society's view or people's opinions, but also they take time as far as you, because
that's why you need 9 months to work out what type of parent you want to be.
She's 40 months old now. Yes, it probably feels like she's always been here, but also you're finding your feet with this as much as anything else, and finding your feet with the dynamic of being a parent and those interactions that you have. And it's all, like you say, no, everyone's winging it.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know how you're going to deal with stuff? But every day or month that passes, you might choose every now and again to deal with something a little bit differently, and it'll happen, won't it? If you choose for it to. But conversations like this, I feel like they're a good little step.
Yeah, definitely.
In the right direction.
Yeah. I think they are. I think that I just want it to be normal.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
that comes from greater awareness, and
it's little. It's because it's even things like, I remember us being in M&S on High Street, Kensington, and do you know what? If I hadn't seen into the ladies' loos before I went into the men's, I wouldn't have minded. But as I walked past the ladies' loos, there was 2 beautiful low mirrors, changing tables for babies. I was like, oh, that's nice. Went into the men's. The men's loo is about the size of you can't see the table, but the size of like a coffee table.
Oh.
So there's like 2 urinals, a cubicle, hand dryer, bin, sink, and then above the bin is a fold down
Okay.
baby changing table. So bearing in mind, like the bin is like here, so I fold down the table. So then I'm having to change her like
Chin height.
chin height. I keep setting the hand dryer off. If anyone pees, washes their hand and wants to dry their hands, they've got to come around and dry their hands next to me, trying to change this baby up here. And I just thought, this is insane.
And bearing in mind, that's probably progress, because I bet it wasn't so long ago there were no
Exactly.
changing
So
tables
they've
in
gone.
men's
Someone's gone.
toilets.
We've got to.
We better accommodate
Yeah.
them.
So they put it in. And so
No
actually,
thought
and I
to
thought,
the
you know
actual-
what? This is not. So I got a manager.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you need to come. And I waited for ages. And I was like, you need to come and see this. And I said, look, this is where it is, and this is how high it is. And he was like, oh, we've never really thought about it. I don't think I've ever been in here to look. I was like, clearly.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
clearly. Because anyone who looks at this
Yeah.
can see that this is a ridiculous.
I appreciate you put a table in here, but it doesn't mean you can just shove one in here.
Yeah, and
Well, good for you for saying something, though.
yeah, you know when I said we were speaking before, and I said that I was lonely at the beginning and felt quite sort of sad, and there was a walking group in Greenwich Park, and it was called like Mums something or other.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, that sounds really nice. It was just walk and talk basically, and I said, oh, that sounds really nice because I like walking and I love Greenwich Park, and but it was called Mums and something, and I just emailed and I said, oh, you know, is it all right for a dad to come along? And thinking they're going, oh yeah, of course that's fine. And she actually emailed back going, oh, actually the mums would prefer it when it's just, they feel more comfortable when it's just mums. So we were just thinking, oh, that's crap. That's really, like, and I understand it in some circumstances why you would want to be all one sex, but I just sort of think a walk in the park, it doesn't need, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
Whereas like other times, like we went to the Bring Your Own Baby comedy, and
I was watching the trailer for that, and I get what you mean about how the pitch is very mum driven.
yeah, and they were so welcoming and so friendly.
Oh, that's good.
And it was really great. Although it was slightly weird that they went, "Yay, we've got two dads here," down the front. Everyone give the dads a round of applause. So then, but it's that thing where you go like, you go the other side. So they're trying to be so welcoming that you're getting a round of applause for being a dad who's there. I don't believe that.
And it makes
that
it
people,
makes it a thing as opposed to just.
I don't believe that dads can be so absent in their children's lives that any dad that shows up gets a round of applause.
Yeah, it's a really low bar to cross, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've set it so low. Just breathe and be there.
And the thing is, like, the environment wasn't like that at all. And,
Yeah.
and speaking to them in person, they weren't like that at all. Like, it was brilliant. We loved it. But just that one moment, I was like, this is weird. Why are we...
Dumb.
And so you
ended
ended up
attention.
we both sat there going, hello. It was really weird.
Pat on the back.
Yes, it's us, we're men.
Oh gosh, I don't know. It is just just needs a tweak in awareness, I guess,
Yeah.
and to have it be as it is, so completely normal that it's not a thing either way.
Yeah, that's what it
It's
is.
not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing like everything else is.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
that's where it needs to be.
That's the dream, isn't it?
And, you know, I think that things do move in that
Hmm.
direction.
Yeah, it just takes time. Having met Billy, ashamed to say for the first time today, haven't met her before. She's so gorgeous, but I don't just mean aesthetically, which she is. She's beautiful, but she's engaging and she's bright and she's happy and yeah, she's quite. I think she's quite remarkable, and I don't think that's a fluke.
Well, I always, because I do, like I say, I doubt myself.
As I think
and-
most parents.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dickie always, like I say to him, do you think are we doing a good job? Are we? And he's like, look at her, like she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, of course we are. Look, and he's much better at going, yeah, we're brilliant. Look how brilliant we are.
Yeah, and that's not being arrogant or big-headed. That's just nothing wrong with being self-affirming and reminding yourself when you've done something well. We're so quick to remind ourselves when we do something badly.
Yeah, I think you do have to try and just take a moment, because you do otherwise get bogged down in your own self-doubt and your own insecurities and worries about trying to protect them and make them this and make them that.
Yeah.
So really it's good that I've got Dickie to remind me, I think.
Yeah. Is there one other thing I wanted to ask you? It's not really little, it's quite huge, but is there anything you've learned about yourself since being a dad? Or any ways in which you feel it's changed you?
Well, I mean, it's changed my life beyond recognition.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably made me more aware of myself. I don't think it's changed me particularly. I am much more aware of my temper.
Okay.
Because I have to suppress it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, we've made a choice that we don't really yell at her, and we don't...
No, there's no outlet to express...
You know, when you think you add in, you know, particularly at the beginning, you know, people, like mums who've been birthed and hormones are all over the place and they're knackered and they're, you know, trying to work, you know, I understand why people are pushed to, and she's a particularly delightful child as well, so she's not like that very often. But, you know, I guess realising that I have a temper and learning how to manage it. I guess you sort of learn what you consider to be important. Do you know what I mean? What your value, you think about more about what your values are.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to raise a little person to be a good person. And I guess I've realised what I consider to be the most important thing in a person is that they're kind.
Yeah.
More than anything else. I don't mind. I always say to her, I don't mind what you are as long as you're kind.
Yeah.
You know, I love that she likes, like we've read her a bedtime story every night since she was 2 months old, and we do it every night. And I'm not saying that's an amazing thing because I know loads of people do that, but it's made her look forward to that. And we always sit and we choose which book we're going to read. Like she'll choose which book she wants to hear that night, and she now likes books, and I really, you know, I like that, and so it's made me realise that actually I find learning and education, and I sort of knew that, but I find education important. Having said that, if she decided that if she wasn't good at school, or decided that actually I want her to be kind and I want her to be happy.
Is there anything else, before we wrap it up, so to speak, is there anything else that you think that's worth saying, or that we haven't covered? Or I think it's been for me it's been so interesting.
Good.
Thank you very much. No, honestly, thank you, because it's just eye-opening, you know.
Well, the only thing that I would say, and I think we said it before we turned the camera on, is that people don't often admit out loud the rubbish bits. They always, even if they say something that they're having a bad time or they find something really difficult, they always quantify it with
You mean as being a parent?
Yeah. You don't have to do that. You are allowed to just say, do you know what? I really hate this at the moment. I hate it. And it's making me really sad. And that's all right. It's all right to say that. It's all right to feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
without fear of being judged. Doesn't make you a bad person.
And I think
or a bad
if someone
parent.
is sitting there thinking, oh, you shouldn't feel like that, it should be the best experience you've ever had, I just think, well, it's wonderful if it was like that for you.
Yeah.
But there's a sort of expectation that you're going to be in this baby bliss.
Yeah.
And
It's brave to admit that, though, because bet you're not the only person who's felt that
I'm
way.
absolutely certain that
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But people.
And just because you've wished for something for so long
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's going to make it easy when it happens.
No. And people always feel the need to quantify it with it. But of course, I've got this beautiful baby and they're really lovely. And I just think you don't need to do that. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not grateful.
it doesn't mean you're not
or-
grateful.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you are allowed to love your child and think they're the most wonderful thing ever and not want to hurt them or not want to do, any of those things. But also be really, really sad and pissed off. You're allowed to have both
Yeah.
those things happen at
Yeah.
the same time. And it's alright to just talk about the sad and pissed off stuff without having to
balance it
always
with
balance
the,
it
yeah,
or sort of feel like you need to justify yourself.
Yeah, it's
And
not about how much you love them, it's about how you feel.
you feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do what you want to do and
Yeah.
and it'll be alright.
Yeah.
And own it. Own the way that you feel about it. Because actually, if you really, really hate something, owning it and saying I really, really hate it gives you the power to fix it.
Yeah. It also kind of takes the wind out of the sails a little bit once you...
Yeah. You get to acknowledge it, you get to
Yeah.
do something about it, you get to...
Same with anything in life.
Yeah, of course, if you repress it and think, oh, it's alright, I'm just being silly, then actually that's the person, I think, who ends up careering off down a path.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Oh, thanks, my lovely.
That's right.
Your husband's back in the room now. Is she going to wake up soon? Do I get another
What
switch
time is
before I
it?
go?
10 to 4, I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I have to poke her.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And then she's like, yeah, that's good though. How long does she have? Like 3 hours.
This is my
Is that it?
truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me my truth. Tell me what the truth feels like. This is my truth.